Okay. Call the meeting to order. Please stand for Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please remain standing for our invocation, please. Mr. Jeremy Schulte.
Let us pray. God of creation and of our town of Black Mountain, we pause in this short moment to express gratitude and thanks for our beautiful city, a town that brings us meaning and joy. We give thanks for the individuals and families who call this town home, as well as the thousands and thousands of visitors who find rest, relaxation, and rejuvenation in this place. We also give thanks for the institutions that bring life to Black Mountain, our schools, our businesses, our places of worship, our conference centers, our nonprofit organizations, and pray for their success and the fulfillment of their respective missions. We give thanks for this local government and its civil servants who bring structure, order, and safety to this city, and pray for strength and wisdom as they carry on their task tonight and in the days ahead. In the previous days, we have been reminded that no city is immune from the pervasive sickness of racism and other belief systems that would seek to exclude, oppress, and harm our neighbors. On this night, we ask for your guidance as we seek to be a city that not only welcomes but celebrates diversity in age, race, color, religion, creed, sexual orientation, gender identity, national origin, and ancestry. Forgive us where we fail to love and honor all those whom you have created and placed on this earth to experience abundant life. As we seek to ensure the prosperity and future of this city, may we also be attentive to the least of these among us, those who live in poverty, those who have difficulty finding shelter, those who struggle with disability, and those who have been cast aside by society to fend for themselves. And now give us unity as we seek to better this town in the coming weeks, months, and years. May we grow in love, diversity, and hospitality. In your holy name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Please be seated. Several announcements here. The first one being that finally Superior Court has set a date for the hearing that Rick Watson has requested. He is appealing a decision by the ZBA, the Zoning Board of Adjustments, about having to tear down the building on US 70, just right at the intersection there of the Grovestone Road. Of course, fortunately, because of it being summertime, it's not quite as bad as it has been because the bushes are growing up through the roof and on the sides of the building, and the vines are all over the windows. So, but it still needs, hopefully they will agree with what our ZBA did, and we will get that building down. I went ahead and went to a conference up in Boone back in the early part of the month, to a climate change conference. Quite amazing. I'm always, the more information that we get every day, we know that we've got a serious problem. And it is, and I say we, and I'm using that nominative plural, not loosely, but we've got a problem. And we need to be addressing that problem. And I certainly would hope that that's one of the things that that this board will look at. I was hoping that we would get a resolution out to support the Paris Accord, but that was not done. But this mayor certainly is in favor of it and has been doing ever since I went ahead and got to be on this board, trying to follow a path that and a motto that where we can build our buildings here to heat it with a candle, cool it with a fan. At least that would be our contribution that we could do on that. We've had some issues in town about parking. That's for sure. I keep hearing it more and more and more, and people coming to me. So on my way back from the climate change conference, I stopped off at Blowing Rock. And Blowing Rock has got not one but two very well designed, just two level parking garages, and that would go a long way in helping resolve a lot of our parking issues. We've got a perfect place for it, just right down below the railroad tracks. And I think that's something too that we need to be looking at. And of course, I'm also, my personal opinion on it is I think we ought to be looking at other places within the town, especially the lawn there on Broadway, and hoping that maybe we could work a deal if Mr. Cordell wanted to sell that. I think that'd be a wonderful place to go. So those are just some ideas there. I would like to go ahead and recognize Chief. Will you come up, please? It's called the National Night Out. That's it. That is a competition that various towns compete in for design of logos. And so this is the award that Black Mountain won for their new design of the logo on the police car. So congratulations, sir. Next, if we could have Rob Austin come up, please. The Black Mountain Board of Aldermen take pleasure in presenting the certificate of commendation to Lieutenant Rob Austin for distinguishing himself through dedicated, selfless service, ensuring that the Black Mountain Police Department was sustained at the highest strength possible while serving as interim police chief. He provided timely, highly qualified service and enthusiastically led the department, becoming a viable asset to our mission. Lieutenant Austin's performance is in keeping with the highest standards and reflect distinct credit upon himself, the Black Mountain Police Department Command, and the town of Black Mountain awarded this 14th day of August 2017. You did a very good job.
Well, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Rob.
All right, and last under announcements, you've probably seen the new planters as they've been slowly popping up out of the sidewalks around town. And the Beautification Commission is certainly the driving force behind that, but also too, there is someone very instrumental in receiving the grant that will be used to purchase even more, and that is Angela. And so I will let Angela speak to this, if she would please, and show us some slides.
The work on the project began about a year ago. The Black Mountain Beautification Committee, the Urban Forestry Commission, and some other partners in town, we got together and decided we would go on a walk. And they selected some trees, did a tree map. The work to date that has been done, forget me, I lost my place. In January 2016, they began investigating and discussing design plans for the downtown streetscape. Over the course of 2016, the project partners formed a plan and mapped out areas appropriate for street trees and porous paved surfaces. As of February the 2017, the Beautification Committee presented a pledge of $9,000 to the town for their part. The town's match was $14,250. And the grant that we were awarded 2 weeks ago was $23,250. And that's from the Appalachian Regional Commission Emerging Opportunities Grant. And that's to purchase the planters that you see. Tekla Hawachin and her husband designed those with the help of a local woodworker. And the plants that are in those containers, the Swananoa Valley Correctional Center for Women. Those ladies grew those plants. And so you'll see some of these planters downtown. So they began work on these planters. So you'll see the planters already there. What's the next phase of the project is to purchase benches similar to the ones you see in the top right, and also to add about 20 trees. So you'll get 24 benches, or however many we can afford with the grant money, and about 20 street trees. And those street trees, when they replant those, our Public Services Department will install what they call porous pave, and there's already a section of it poured, and it's to help with walkability, so wheelchairs and strollers and things like that can walk over where the tree basin is at. But there's some work to be done. We have a year to complete the project, so you'll see some more information coming soon.
Angela spent a lot of time on this, and I think we need to give her applause for that. Thank you very much. I also want to recognize Lyndall Brownell, and Joyce Blackwards, Kate Ramsey from the Beautification Committee, and also from our own town group, Chris and Gabe from down at System Services, that certainly put a lot of time in building those. So thank you to everybody. I think it really puts the icing on the cake. Okay, now we go to citizen comment. I think we've got 2 people signed up here. Ann Silman. And please come right up to the microphone, give your name, your address. And before you begin, let me just go through the rules again. We have a light here. And so that's 3 minutes you have to speak. It comes on as green. It'll stay green for 2 minutes. It'll turn to orange with 1 minute, and it'll be a flashing orange for the last 30 seconds. And then when you finish, I'm not trying to be impolite, but that'll be the end.
Thank you.
Go ahead.
Thank you. Mayor Sobel, Alderman, and citizens. My name is Ann Silman. I am a renter. I moved here in 2009 to be in a beautiful small city near my son, who lives in Spruce Pine. My comment today is I am so delighted with our quaint city, our small city, our friendly city. And it worries me a little to see big projects coming in. Big projects with lots of cars and lots of new people. I know you can't stop progress, but I want everybody to realize that I, for one, am hoping that we can keep this town loving, gentle, small benches, friendly people who talk to you, enough parking, and no big projects. Unfortunately, I feel like the Trestle building is a big project, and it disturbs me, but they have a right. Our ordinance tells us that they have a right to be there. So, Dobra was a delightful little place. It was like a jewel in our town. It will be lost to a huge, big building. That's all I need to say. I live here. I love this town. I hope that all of you who write the laws for this town will keep in mind that I think many of us would like to keep it small. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up is Rebecca Brown.
Gentlemen and ladies, my name is Rebecca Brown, and I live here in Black Mountain for the last 20 years. I just have a comment, and actually somewhat of a question. I noticed that there's going to be a nominee for the Historic District Commission coming up, and I have a concern. There are 6 nominees. I find, let me preface that by saying I think the Historic District Commission is going to be, as development is happening, to maintain the integrity of our town. They're a very important board. They're going to have a lot of decisions to make, and whoever's appointed has a great responsibility. My concern is, out of the 6 people, I notice one of the people is also running for alderman. I'm not sure if, by any chance, if this person were appointed and also became alderman, if they can serve on both committees. I don't know the answer to that. But if that's not the case, if he is appointed alderman down the road, he would only be serving for a short time. Now, I gather that this is a 3-year commitment, and I would ask the board, in their consideration, to really thoroughly consider the 5 other nominees who are very willing to present themselves for 3 years with a 100% commitment, as opposed to perhaps a part-time commitment to either or positions. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, that concludes citizen comment. Now, communication from boards.
Mr. Mayor, we have our planning intern, Jessie Archer, here tonight. She has been with us since June. She'll be leaving in a couple of weeks, maybe a week from now. She is at Appalachian State. She's working on her Bachelor of Science in Sustainable Technology and Regional Community Planning. She's going to highlight one of her projects that she's worked on extensively. I would point out that she's also, even though I don't think she's going to mention this in her presentation, that she has revised our green building incentives to make them more accessible to builders. She has analyzed town power bills and water utility bills and researched feasible and affordable ways to conserve resources. She has finished revising energy efficiency information on our website for builders and for homeowners and formatted this information into brochures. So she's worked very hard, and we're very proud of Jessie. As you all are aware, we have a planning director coming on board in a couple of weeks. So she has worked independently, and we've been very fortunate for what she's done. And I will turn it over to Jessie to do a to do a presentation on one of the projects and one of the topics that she's most enthusiastic about. Thank you, Jessie.
Hi everyone, again my name is Jessie and I'm working as an intern in the planning department this summer. I'm happy to be here today to share with you one simple, effective, and affordable strategy that the town is using to conserve water that you too can implement in your own home. Here's a short overview of why it's important to conserve water in our area. 1, we currently have to purchase a portion of our water from the city of Asheville. 2, Black Mountain water is sourced primarily from wells. 3, while we currently have an abundant water supply, it is important to note that in the next 100 years, the water table could change. And 4, as you can see, only 1% of Earth's water is available for us to use. Water is a limited resource, and it's best to always use less of it and to be prepared for natural events. This is just a chart showing the slow increase of demand for our water over the past 6 years for Black Mountain. It's best to implement conservation strategies as our demand increases, both to save money and our resources. So what are some small steps that anyone can take to make a big impact? To figure this out, we had to first determine how our water is used. I wanted to be able to complete a whole project during my short summer stay, so I chose to focus on data collected from our public buildings, specifically on the water used in our restroom faucets. It turns out that we weren't quite up to code with the faucets in our facilities. As you can see here, the average flow for our faucets in town-operated facilities was 1.8 gallons per minute, and the average flow for our faucets in town hall was 2.3 gallons per minute. In order to get up to code, we needed to get them down to half a gallon per minute. It was quite the upgrade. To make up for lost time, I chose aerators for our faucets that were 0.35 gallons per minute, which are the most efficient ones on the market. Changing the flow rates on the faucets was easy and inexpensive. The only thing that was required was a high-performance aerator, which could be put on in several minutes by myself, so not difficult. As you can see here, this is the difference. Before we had the aerators on, we were at 2.3 gallons per minute, and then after that, we were at about 0.32 gallons per minute, which is a very big decrease. 72 to 85% of a decrease, so quite good. I did get many comments about how it took people twice as long to wash their hands, so it's more of like a sprinkle, but it's an effective sprinkle. So that's where the range of 72% to 85% comes in. 85% is if you wash your hands for 30 seconds, and then the 72% is if you wash your hands for 60 seconds. So even if it takes you twice as long to wash your hands, you're still conserving 72% of the water that was once being used. Here's just some calculations of how I got that. It's not very exciting. So we're not going to have our estimates, we're not going to have data until we get our water utility bills for the following month to know the reduction rates for all of the facilities. But just a fun estimate to give you a good idea of what it could be. If 500 people were to wash their hands once in our public sinks every day, in a year we'll save 161,000 gallons of water and just over $1,000. And that's only from our sinks and our public restrooms. So that's a lot of water and a lot of money from one small change. Where did they go? They went to the restrooms in the Black Mountain pool where the showers are. They went to the public restrooms around the lake and that facility. They went to the golf course, all the other public restrooms, such as the ones in Town Square and Cherry Street, the public safety building, other public buildings such as Carver School, and of course Town Hall. Their aerators cost $116 to put into all of the restrooms, and the savings from those could be over $1,000, and again, save over 160,000 gallons of water. So 100% success. In conclusion, while this project doesn't save copious amounts of water, it does demonstrate that even the smallest investments can have a big payoff and make a difference. So I encourage you all to go on Amazon or go to Home Depot and buy yourself a little $2 aerator to put on your sink. And then you too can save 73 to 85% of your water. Thank you.
Matt, consent agenda, please.
Yes, sir. We have the adoption of minutes from the July 6th agenda session, the July 10th regular session, and the July 19th special call meeting. You have a change for your Board of Aldermen regular meeting scheduled for October. This change would set the meeting date on Thursday, October 5th at 6 p.m. following the agenda meeting. And you have the adoption of the 2017 revised Board and Commission Policy Manual. Angela worked hard on this to kind of update. We have a manual that we give out to potential and current boards and commission members. And there was some language that was either not consistent with our policies or not consistent with general statutes, and Angela worked hard to update those. So that is what you have in front of you today for the consent agenda.
All right, do I hear a motion to approve the consent agenda? Three items, A through C.
So moved.
Any discussion? If not, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Passed unanimously. We now move to the second portion, which is of our citizen comment, so that if anyone wishes to speak, they can come forward. If they didn't speak at the first. But basically, this is set up for dealing with new business, so that you can go ahead and express your opinions and thoughts before the new business is concluded. Not seeing anybody. Matt, new business, please.
Yes, sir. We have a resolution to award the service badge and helmet to retiring firefighter Tom Hill.
Tom, if you'll come forward, please, Tom. This is Resolution R-1704, resolution of the Board of Aldermen of the Town of Black Mountain, awarding to retiring firefighter Tom Hill his badge and service helmet. Whereas Tom Hill has served the Town of Black Mountain in a conscientious, dedicated, and an exemplary manner as a firefighter for the past 10 years, and whereas GS 160A-294.1 provides that retiring members of municipal firefighting agencies may receive at the time of their retirement the helmet worn or carried by them during their service with the municipality. And whereas GS 160A-266C and D, in its discretion, determining the item to have no nominal value, the governing body of the municipal firefighting agency may award to the retiring member the service badge of such retirement member. And whereas Tom Hill has served as a member of the fire department for a period of 10 years and is a firefighter and is retiring from the Town of Black Mountain on September 13, 2017. And whereas Tom Hill should be recognized for his tireless commitment to his community, we recognize his 10 years of service and say, thank you for a job well done. Now therefore be resolved by the Board of Aldermen of the Town of Black Mountain that A, the town manager or his designee is hereby authorized in accordance with provisions of GS 160A-294.1 to transfer to Tom Hill the fireman's helmet worn by him during his service with the Town of Black Mountain Fire Department and his service badge duly dated this 14th day of August 2017. Thank you very much, sir, for your red. We certainly appreciate it. And here's the resolution. Please take that, and you'll have to just take with you a virtual picture of your helmet and your badge, because that'll be awarded to you at a later date.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Tom.
Next, you have an appointment to fill vacancies on town board and commissions. You've got 2 vacancies. Your first one is for the Historic Preservation Commission. You have a vacancy for a 3-year term ending June 30th, 2020.
Do I have a nomination?
Yes, I would like to nominate Deborah Wooten.
Are there any other nominations? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So Deborah Wooten is the new member. A unanimous vote. It's a 3-year term ending on June 30th, 2020. The vote was 5-0. Okay, next.
Next, you have the 3rd alternate seat for the Zoning Board of Adjustments. This is, well, it is what I just said. It's the 3rd alternate seat for the Zoning Board of Adjustments. You have a nomination for that.
Okay. Do I hear a nomination?
I'd like to nominate Janet McKimson.
Any other nominations? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That also is unanimous 5-0 vote. And that goes ahead, that began July 1st of this year. So, all right, go ahead, Matt.
And then, finally, you have under new business a request to approve a senior police officer and master police officer classification for the Black Mountain Police Department. I'm going to ask, if you don't mind, Chief Freeman to kind of give you the rationale for this. I would point out this is not creating new positions or additional employees for the police department. It's classifications within the current police department and the officers that they currently have.
So good evening, everyone. So in small agencies such as we have here at Black Mountain, retention is sometimes a big issue, and we've got to be creative in ways to retain highly qualified, highly trained personnel. And one way to do that is to create some lateral growth within the agency. One way to do that, and I've been successful at 2 other agencies, is by creating steps within our program prior to the sergeant's position, and those are the senior master police officer positions. The difference in this is it's very intensive on how they get to each of these steps. Under the senior police officer, it's the same job description as a police officer with 3 major changes. Number 1, the officer must hold their intermediate law enforcement certification with the state. Number 2, they must meet the qualifications for a police officer and have 4 years of law enforcement experience, with 3 of those being consecutively served within the town. And then finally, they must have accrued over 600 hours of training. And in this 600 hours of training, the yearly mandated in-service does not count toward that 600 hours. Within the 600 hours of training, we have 5 courses that are mandated. One of those being the community policing orientation course for law enforcement officers. And then the remainder of those hours after they complete those 5 classes are of their choice in the law enforcement field. The master police officer position is the same as the senior, with the exception of 3 major changes as well. One being that at that point they have to hold their advanced certification in law enforcement with the state. Secondly, they must meet the senior police officer qualifications. They must have 6 years of law enforcement experience, 5 of which have to be consecutively served within the town of Black Mountain. And then we finally must have accrued 900 hours of law enforcement training. And in those 900 hours, there's 3 mandated classes, which are typically leadership classes that prepare them for the advancement to sergeant and future ranks within the department. I can answer any questions you may have.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. Looks like we don't have a public hearing, so now
we would ask for a motion to approve those classifications.
Okay. All right, here a motion to approve the classifications for the Black Mountain Police Department is presented by Chief Freeman.
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Thank you for reminding me to do that. No public hearings, so now we have communication from staff.
I don't have anything for the board this week.
I have a couple of short things. I would remind the board and the public that our new planning director, Jessica Trotman, starts work here on August 31st, and we'll have a brief reception here at Town Hall at 9 o'clock in the morning. Everybody is welcome to come and tell her your ideas and give her your input. And we're excited. She comes to us from Kings Mountain, and so we're happy to have her here. But she'll be here on August the 31st, and we have a reception at 9 o'clock. And I'd like everybody to welcome her here when she comes. And if you would indulge me, I do want to just read a brief letter. This is a kind of a commendation that was sent to the town on behalf of Jamie Matthews' Department of Public Services Department. This is from JMT Engineering, who does the flagger training, and we have to take that. Everybody has to be certified in that. And this won't take a second, but he says, Jamie, all I can say is that I have never had this happen. In the 8 years I've been teaching this course, 10 of your 15 students made 100, including you on the test. I just finished a book about community and how groups really need the type of working together that is fostered here in your department. I really enjoyed my time with you boys. Thank you. If I can help you in your group and your town in any way, just call me. Have a great weekend. And I think that's from Jim Kellenberger, professional engineer and a safety engineer with JMT Engineering. That was for our flagger class. Everybody in his department took that class. You may have seen them out in our parking lot. Taking the class. Everybody passed. And clearly he was impressed with the quality and skill of Jamie's department, and I think he should be commended for that. And I just wanted to read that quickly to everybody. And that's all that I have.
Last, I've got a motion. Do I hear a motion to enter into closed session to discuss property acquisition as permitted under NCGS 143-318.11?
Mayor, I'd like to have a comment board-wise before we go into executive session.
Go ahead.
Good. Carlos, do you care to go? Would you go?
Absolutely.
Passing out to the board a resolution that was done in December 13, 2010. And I think basically at that time what was going on, there was a lot of discussion about ethical behavior of the board of aldermen at the time. And what we did, the alderman, the mayor, who were sitting at that time, we came up with what we call the resolution adopting a code of ethics and rules of procedure for the Black Mountain Board of Aldermen. And in sitting here, just kind of reviewing this the other day, I don't think we as a board, and since this board has been here, that we've ever reviewed this code of ethics. And I passed it out to everyone just kind of as a reminder that we do function under a code of ethics, certain morals, certain values that not only make up this board, but make up who we are in the town of Black Mountain. And I think it's extremely important that we adhere to the rules of procedure and what we put into effect back in 2010. I was kind of looking over some other notes we had from like the ABC board. And even on their board, the first part of their minutes, there's a statement that in accordance with General Statute 18B-201, it is the duty of every board member to avoid both conflicts of interest and appearances of conflict. A document signed by board members indicating that there is no conflict of interest is currently on file. And that's every board member with the ABC board had to sign that, and that's included on every document they do when they have their meetings every month. And I think that's very important. Folks, we are, as the gentleman said when he gave his prayer, we are in a very trying time in this country. Ethics, morals, values are being stretched to the limit. And we as stewards of the town of Black Mountain, we as leaders of the town of Black Mountain, we should be held accountable more than anyone sitting in this room or in this county or in this town when it comes to following the code of what we establish. So I would encourage everyone, if you would, to take these, to read them, that is who we are. And as it says in them, not only are these to be reflected in our professional life, but they're to be reflected in our personal life, because we do serve as an example, as a role model for the citizens of this town. Thank you.
Carlos. Larry, you want to say something?
Yeah, I do have a little something. Let's see, I think these are all copies. Just a little, this is not going to take as long as it might appear that it's going to take. And here, Mike, we'll pass those down. There might be an extra copy by the time they get to you, Angela. And I actually have some copies of, and I wonder if I could ask, maybe just if you could just take one if you wish, and maybe every other one, and you may want one or may not, but it may be helpful if someone wants to look at it. The French Broad River Metropolitan Planning Organization is the transportation board consisting of 4 counties: Haywood, Henderson, Madison, and Henderson, Buncombe, Madison, and part of Transylvania. And so the county elected officials appoint a person from their elected board, and each municipality in that 4-county region appoints a person, and that comprises the MPO board along with a few other people who have voting privileges. And basically the MPO is the conduit for every transportation project and funded transportation project in the region. If it's going to receive state and or federal dollars, it has to flow through the MPO. There's a staff, and of course DOT has a voting a vote on the MPO, and they play obviously a critical role in identifying projects, grading those projects, and moving them through the process. The process by which the transportation projects actually get identified, get graded, get approved, get funded, and then move on into construction is called the Transportation Improvement Plan. And the Transportation Improvement Plan at the French Broad River MPO, the 2018 through 27 Transportation Improvement Plan, has been in process for a considerable amount of time, and various votes come up along the way. Alderwoman Tuttle has voted on the tip, Alderman Stone has voted on the tip, and I've also voted on the tip as it moves through various processes and places at the MPO board. At the August meeting of the French Broad River MPO, which takes place on Thursday, August the 24th, the final vote on this tip will be made, and then it moves down to Raleigh and will be voted on by the State Board of Transportation, and then it goes into process. I would note, if you want to take a look at, I believe, page, and for the Alderman 3 of 19, and that page is attached, if those of you who have an attachment, that is the page on the tip that reflects the Blue Ridge Road Exchange. You can see that it is planned, and those dates have recently changed just a little bit, planned for right-of-way acquisition in 19, and then construction in 21 through 22. And funding was obtained for this project last year at a regional level, and it moves through, and it is on the tip. One other item on the tip of interest to Valley residents would be on page 6 of 19, and that is the construction of the access road to the Avadum Technologies facility site. That is actually going to probably get some attention this fall, and they will not complete that road, pave it in its final form until the construction's done, but they have to get the road in there so they can actually construct it. But it will be usable and broadened out some. I'm not quite sure how much, but they probably don't have the design out. I haven't seen anything. Have you, Matt?
No,
No,
not
nothing on
DOT
that.
for that yet, but that's moving quickly though.
That's moving very quickly because it's a small project and it has to occur for that, for the business development to take place. So I wanted to just make that announcement and get that out in front of the public. If you've noted, I put a couple of articles in the paper about the project. This shouldn't be news to anyone. It's been moving along at a good pace for some time. And I think this goes back, there's a long history of this exchange, but it goes back on the current tip. I believe former Mayor Bartlett probably fed it into that process before he left office, but he was serving on the MPO, I believe, if I have that correctly. So I do have a motion that I propose, like to place before the Board of Aldermen, and that is before you is that the Black Mountain Board of Aldermen wish to affirm their support for project ID number I-4409 Blue Ridge Road Exchange and U-6053 construction of access road to Avatum Technologies facility site, both of which are part of the 2018-27 Transportation Improvement Plan. The board requests that the town's appointed delegate to the French Broad River MPO vote for approval of the 2018 through 2027 TIP when presented for action before the FPR MPO board.
Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passes unanimously. Just for the people that, for the audience that doesn't see the figures on this thing, it looks like it's about $13.25 million is what the interchange would be, and the road would be right at $1 million.
And then just one other quick thing, Mayor, and it's just regarding the, you can pass those down toward Angela, just regarding the letter of August 8, and I would like to ask the board just to have this statement and a copy of the letter entered into the minutes of this meeting, if that's agreeable to the board. I don't know if it requires a vote or not, but I don't think it does, so I'd just like to have that entered into the minutes, if that's agreeable to everyone.
Now, this is a letter that your mayor wrote to Mr. Cordell, and matter of fact, I'm going to go ahead and read it. This is to Mr. Joe Cordell, written by myself. This past week, I spoke with Mr. Hurd. He indicated that you might be in town next week for the Historical Commission meeting. I hope to meet you. You have purchased the old ice house as well as the tea house on the lawn. Accordingly, you have the right to do with that property as you see fit, provided you adhere to the zoning and regulations of the town. You have been very successful in your law practice, and we hope that this endeavor works well for you and our town. My wife's an attorney. It always amazes me how our profession, with volumes of written rules and guidelines, is always morphing to adapt to the ever-changing environment of business, divorce, and just the workings of the real world. My observation is that it incorporates compromise as a basic denominator, and that includes your area of expertise, divorce law. Compromise is what we use in politics, in law, and in marriage to make life function. I would like to propose a compromise to the trestle project. As I stated in the last letter, the idea of rooftop dining at the ice plant is wonderful. Hardly anyone is against that. However, most people would love to keep the green space, and I would like for you to consider selling the lawn and the parking along the alleyway to the town. We desperately need more parking in our town for the central business district. You could contribute to our town and business district with the restaurant and tea house, and the town could pay for what you have invested in pursuing the commercial building, and of course the amount you paid for the land. This would be Christmas come early to our town and its citizens. Sincerely yours, C. Michael Sobel, Mayor. I want to go ahead and, do I get a motion then to enter into closed session to discuss property acquisition as permitted under NCGS 143-318.11A5?
So moved.
Any discussion? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
All right. We will, passes. We will go into the room in there and have our meeting. Okay, we're back in open session. Any board member wish to speak? If not, we will be adjourned.